Welcome to the Hear and Heard podcast. I am your podcast host, Emily. I want this to be a safe space for all women to tell their stories, grieve the hard parts, and celebrate themselves. Thank you for being here.
Okay, so let's talk about getting pregnant. Getting pregnant again? Yeah. I don't know how it happened. Sloane's first birthday, we celebrated at Duluth Grill. And while I was at Duluth Grill, Michael was gone, I think in Utah. Michael was trying to rejoin the military. So he was gone in Utah to do some testing. And he texted me while I was at breakfast, letting me know that our landlord was selling our house and we needed to move in 1 month. And I was like, what, in March in Duluth? And I don't know if you guys know, but there's nothing available in March in Duluth. Everything goes off college student schedules, you know. So I was like, oh, happy birthday, Sloan. Working on that, trying to find a new place to live, just being super stressed out, packing, whatever. We ended up finding a different house in Lakeside, only a few blocks away from where we were currently living, which we were so excited about. The weekend that we were moving houses, I found out I was pregnant. My period is spot on. It starts on the day that it starts. It's never late, no matter what. I should interject this about getting pregnant with Sloan. I was on the marina for 9 years. I had the one same marina for 9 years, which is like not great, right? But I had tried to go get it taken out a few times. They couldn't find it. They tried to find it. Miserable, absolutely terrible. I had to be put under and have surgery to get it taken out. What? Yes. I was pregnant with Sloan 1 month later. So shout out to the marina for that. But you know, they always say like, hey, it might take you a while to get pregnant. So I was like not worried at all. No stress at all. Yeah. No, big stress, probably big stress. So yes, the weekend that we moved into the new house in Lakeside, the day before I moved, I found out I was pregnant. So I was like, I'm a couple days late. And so I videotaped myself taking a test in this new bathroom, and the house was not nice. But we wanted to still live in Lakeside, so now they could go to the same school, ride the bus, whatever. We loved Lakeside. The rent was inexpensive. It was cheaper than where we had been living, and we're like, it's fine. Michael's parents gave us land. We'll build a house, whatever. Yeah. So we moved. I've got a video of me like showing Michael the pregnancy test, and he's like, are you kidding me? I was like, bah, 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 bah. Like, yeah, we were not excited. We were, and we were like, we're not having more kids. This was super traumatic. I never want to be pregnant again, whatever. Found out we were pregnant with Carmine. So yeah, just it took a little bit to mentally be like, okay, well, this is happening again. And yeah, so Carmine, I was once again very sick when I was pregnant with Carmine. Once again, the only time I wasn't sick was when I was working out. Thank God for the YMCA and kid care. Yeah. Which literally my kids have grown up there now. So Sloan's been going there since he was 8 months old, 9 months old probably. And when I lived in Virginia, I would bring Hadley to the Virginia YMCA and use kids care there. So the YMCA has helped me raise my children, and the YMCA has helped me keep my sanity so that I can continue to work out. We love the Y. Yeah, sometimes. But yeah, I found out I was pregnant with Carmine. It took a little while. And then this just kind of derails a lot of things that we were going to do, but like, whatever. This is just what it is now. And we've got to pivot, and that's what we do. We planned on living in that rental until we built a house because it was so inexpensive, but there was no room. And I was like, I'm not bringing a baby into this dome. Like, I was just like, just really adamant about that. So while I was pregnant with Carmine, we went house shopping and bought a house, and we moved in September, and Carmine was born in January. So it's just always busy. It never slows down. And then you just have more kids, and then you're just busier and busier. But Carmine, we found out he was a boy as well. Giant scrotum once again. But because of Sloan's heart condition, the chances that you will have another baby with a heart condition go up. Okay. Which is another thing they don't tell you unless it's happening to you, right? So you're like, what? Another one? So we went in for we did the spit test with him again. Yeah. Same thing. Okay. Boy, I'm like, I don't know. 2 boys? I don't know. So we went in for his anatomy scan, and in that we knew that it was going to be longer because they were going to also check his heart. So what they did that time is like, hey, right after this appointment, you're going to see a cardiologist. You're going to go into this room, hop on a call on this TV with someone. They're going to be looking at the scans so they can go over this with you.
Yeah.
So we did all this. They did the in-depth scan of the heart, which like was kind of PTSD because it was really long again. And I'm like, what are you seeing? And they can't tell you, right? And I'm like, do I know how to read an ultrasound? And I'm like I was like, I've seen enough. Like, I don't know how to read an ultrasound. I don't even know how they know how to read an ultrasound sometimes. I'm like, it's just, what is that? I don't know what that is. Yeah. So we go into the room and this guy comes up on the screen and he's like, hey, I'm looking at these pictures. I do see something wrong with the heart. From what it looks like on here, I believe that your child has a hole in their heart. He's like, the nice thing about this, I was like, tell me more. What is the nice thing? But oftentimes when this happens, as the baby grows, it corrects itself. So that was a positive of that. Yeah. But once again, once we got off that call, I just sobbed. It's like, why? Why another one? Why is this happening to us? Is this because I didn't want more kids? Am I being punished? You know, so that was really hard. Our pediatric cardiologist in Duluth is Dr. Arswold, and she is fantastic. And once we got off the phone with that person, Dr. Arswold called us because then I had to have more scans. Yeah. So once again, I was a geriatric pregnancy. Once again, we potentially had a child with a heart defect. So once again, more ultrasounds. Yeah. Thankfully, we had insurance. Again, it doesn't cover all of that. Right. So that was not great, but it's, the hospital is like, you should have these, you need to have these. Towards the end of my pregnancy, they discovered that it was not a hole, it was a shadow. I'm thankful that they gave me that precursor rather than just been like, well, let's not say anything until we know for sure. But at the same time, it brought a lot of guilt and stress and anxiety to me because I don't know what a hole in the heart entails. I went to high school with a guy who had a hole in his heart, and his life was not easy. Yeah. So I'm just trying to think of the things that I could do and what this child's life was going to be like, and if this child had to have surgery, can I do this again? And how is Michael going to take care of Hadley and Sloan if I have to go to Minneapolis again and all that stuff? And so thankfully that panned out, and Carmine is fantastic and he has no problems except for a bad attitude now. Yes, yeah. So but once again I had a scheduled C-section. But in true Sloan fashion, something was wrong with Sloan. Carmine's C-section date was scheduled for January 5th. My birthday is December 29th. So it was Thanksgiving, Christmas, my birthday, Carmine's birth. We brought Sloan to his maybe 12-month appointment, and we had noticed that he had a hernia. Yeah. Which is pretty common with kids who have had surgery, but this was not related to his surgery, and they determined that he needed to have it fixed. And they chose December 29th for that. So we drove to the cities December 28th, stayed in the same apartment that we stayed in while we lived there for Sloan, which is across the street. So that brought up some
I was going to say,
like,
that sounds very...
Yeah, it was like, well, it was very nice. It's a very nice place. It's really nice that it's across from the hospital, whatever. But this is so weird. How grateful are we that we're here with our baby who's alive? Yeah. Who we can come here and everything is good. Yeah. But now we've got to go back and he's got to have surgery again. So that was really like, whatever. And then to see your little toddler just delusional because they put him under was really hard. He was fine. He had his surgery. He did good. I was up and running around right after. And I was like, you need to chill. They're like, he needs to lay. He needs to just watch TV and chill. And I was like, have you met him? He can't even sit in the lobby. Yes. Yeah. So I was like 39 weeks pregnant and then so we did that, went home. made sure he was all good. And then, 6 days later, I went in to have Carmine. When I was pregnant, I asked my doctor, I wanted to have my tubes tied. I was like, I don't want to have any more kids. This was an accident. Sloan was an accident. Hadley was an accident. I'm thankful for all of them, right? And at the beginning of my pregnancy, she was like, shouldn't be a problem. She's like, you are 36, you'll be 37 when you give birth. You have a child with a heart defect. She's like, shouldn't be a problem. But with Essentia is connected to St. Mary's. You have to ask the nuns for permission. She kept saying, shouldn't be a problem, shouldn't be a problem, shouldn't be a problem. And I was like, okay, cool, perfect. Well, I didn't find out until right before Christmas that I was denied, which is 1 month before I'm supposed to have it. So there are options, right? So this is like what I find traumatic to me because my decisions were being taken away, which I don't love. I could have gotten my C-section, said, hey, Carmine, what's up? Have him taken away to go recover. They would have wheeled me to Miller Dwan, open, performed my tube tie, whatever, my tubal, and I would have recovered a Miller Dwan and my baby would be away, which is what has already happened to me twice. So I made the decision to not do that. I was like, I want to have my golden hour. I want to sit with my baby while they sew me up. I've never gotten to experience that. This is what I want to have. So that's what I did. And it was beautiful. It was wonderful. Carmen was just like a little angel. He's like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. We didn't know what to name him. So they're like, what's his name? We're like, we don't know yet. Just give us time. Like, let us breathe for a second. So Carmine is a very Italian name. His name is Carmine Valore Vespa. And that's kind of what we had settled on. And we had a couple others, but I'm like, Sloan is blonde and very fair. And I was like, I'm not going to name another blonde kid this wonderful Italian name. So when he was born, his hair was black and he was tan. And Michael's like, and so I was like, okay, well, we'll name him Carmine. And so he's named after my grandma Carmen. And then Valore is Michael's middle name. So Sloan is like Sloan, Gideon, Michael, Vespa. So Sloan has Michael's first name. Carmine has Michael's middle name. So they both have a piece of their dad with them. So that was really important to us. So I wanted my golden hour. I got my golden hour. I held him while they sewed me up. I held him while they brought me back to the room. I got to hold him. I got to nurse him right away. Everything that I didn't get to experience with the other two. So that made it really special. So that made it really special for me. And I was deeply satisfied with that experience. Just like really bitter that the nuns wouldn't let me have a choice over my own body. They're not wanting any more children. So yeah, that was good and everything was normal. And we went home after 3 days and Carmine wore the same outfit that Sloan wore home and everything was good. And he was a great baby and Sloan was 22 months. And because your kids are like the exact same. And, it's a lot. And everyone's like, oh, a newborn. And it's not the newborn. It's the other one. Yes. Yeah. And my friend Amanda gave me the best advice because her kids are a couple years apart. And she's like, your baby will cry whenever. Your baby will cry for whatever, but your toddler will remember that you didn't help them when they ask. Your toddler will remember mom yelled at me and it's always the baby, always the baby. She's like, your baby will cry. Your baby will continue to cry, whatever. She's like, you need to focus on your older child. And that was really huge, wonderful advice for me because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is a lot. I don't know what I'm going to do. But that was great, was very beneficial. I think helped Sloan a lot because of his heart condition. People definitely treat him differently and everything is Sloan, Sloan, Sloan. And he eats that shit up. Everyone lets him do whatever he wants, which is not great. Even at the YMCA, and they'll let him go behind the desk. He'll type on the computer. They're like, Sloan's back. But now he thinks he can do that everywhere he goes. So, yeah. So Carmine, sweet little angel, just a beautiful baby. Nothing wrong with Carmine. He's been fantastic. He was very much youngest child. just super chill.
Feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super chill. I could lay him down. He'd be fine so that I could make sure Sloan doesn't die, whatever. That was great. And after that, we're like, okay, we're done. No more kids. This is fantastic. I didn't want to go in and have another surgery. I'm already closed up. I don't want to have another surgery. I'm like, can you please have a vasectomy?
Yeah.
And he was not about it for a while. He's like, I don't want to do that. It feels unnatural. I just don't know how I feel about it. But I just was like, it's very non-invasive. Please do this. So he scheduled one. And with our insurance, it was not covered.
Yeah.
So they called us 3 days before his
To get the
schedule,
payment ahead of time.
and they wanted the payment ahead of time. And they asked us for $4,000. And he's like, I don't have $4,000. And I'm like, well, you can either pay us or we're canceling your appointment. And they canceled our appointment. And we're like, what? I just kept looking like, I'm going to find a backyard barbecue retired nurse in the cities just to
Take care of it.
I'm like, I'm going to watch a YouTube video. You were a combat medic. Like, we can together.
Pierced ourselves as kids.
Yeah, we can do this. Yes, exactly. I played, I played Operation.
Yeah.
We can do this. Do you trust me? Your sister's a nurse. I think we know some doctors. We can get it done. So yeah, that, ultimately to the detriment, we got pregnant again. So, honestly, I did not want to go back on birth control. I did not like the way it made me feel. We were using other methods of contraception and we still got pregnant. Which is like, God, why? Why me? What's the joke? What's going on? I was devastated.
Yeah.
I was devastated. I hysterically sobbed. I cried and cried and cried. I was 5 days late for my period. And I was like, nope, no way. We've been safe. We've been using protection. I'm not pregnant. I don't feel pregnant. It's like, I would know, no, I was pregnant. And I had pregnancy tests. I just had them in the drawer because you never know, right? I would just keep them. We were supposed to go out to dinner with some friends who came from Fargo, and they were just like, I went to Duluth and we were going to go to dinner with them. And I don't know why I chose to do a pregnancy test 20 minutes before we were supposed to leave, but I did. And yeah, I was pregnant. I was in the bathroom. I locked and closed the door, and I just fell to the floor sobbing. And Sloan's like, are you okay? Mom, what's wrong? And he's like, why are you laughing? And I'm like, oh, I'm not laughing. And Michael's like, leave Mom alone. She just needs a minute, whatever. Yeah, that was like the longest 10 minutes of my life. I was just so upset. I was like, not again. I hate being pregnant. I do not like the way I feel.
Yeah.
I don't like anything about being pregnant. I don't like having choices or not having choices over my own body. The women who are like, pregnancy was the best. I don't know what's wrong with them. That's just like not my experience at all.
And you also had, like, especially with Sloan and Carmine, had a ton of extra appointments.
Yes.
And
yeah, it's just time consuming.
Yeah.
And the older you get, like, I was in better, like when I was pregnant with Hallie, I didn't work out. I ate pizza, Doritos, whatever on the weekends. I drank all the time.
Yeah.
I was in much better health, much better mental space, financially capable, whatever now with the other ones. But still, I'm 10, 12, 14 years older than that. And that takes a toll on your body. It's hard enough getting older, but getting older and being pregnant is also its own terrible thing too, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just was less filled with dread. And then, I am I am pro-choice. You have that right to choose what you want for your life. But for myself, I am pro-life.
Yeah.
Like that's the decision that I made for myself. And I was so devastated that even Michael was like, do you not want to be pregnant? And I was like, well, no, but I'm not doing that. He would not want me to have an abortion, but like was just giving me that option to see where I was at mentally so that he knew how to gauge where to move forward. Yeah, but then it was like coming to terms with I am pregnant. I'm going to go through this again. Because it's like I could pretend I wasn't as much as I wanted to, but this is going to happen, you know?
Right.
So just moving through that, the first 12 weeks of my pregnancy, I was in a really bad place. I was mean. I was mad. I was filled with dread. I was not great to be around. And Michael was just like, hey, your body is feeding our baby these negative things. And he's not like woo woo, but he was like woo woo about that. And I was just like, you need to let me feel my feelings right now. And he's like, yes, that's fine. You can feel however you want, but you need to get out of this because this is happening, whether or not you love it or hate it. Yep. And he's like, so let's look on the positive side. We are great parents. We have a great family. This baby's gonna have the best brothers and sisters, whatever, whatever. And it took me a long time to get out of that.
Yeah.
And then in my head I was like, better be a girl then. I was like, better be a girl or I'm gonna be pissed. Like if I have another boy, I'm like, just send me away. Straight jacket, send me straight to Crazy Town because like I cannot do another boy. This is insane. So yeah, so we did the panel because I'm old. They do more blood tests and do whatever. So on my chart, like we'll say, so we found out early that we were having a girl before the anatomy scan, which I was at the YMCA working out and I got the message, like started reading it and I started bawling at the YMCA and Sam, the front desk guy.
Oh, I love him.
Yes, I know. Everyone loves him. He was working out and he's like, are you okay? I'm like, it's a girl. Like he got to find out before even Michael got to find out. And he's like, okay. Like, yeah. So then I call Michael and my darling, I'm like sitting on this like little bed, like, it's a girl. Like, okay, I'm fine. I'm okay now. Like, I'm okay. I can deal with this. I'll get my little precious little angel, whatever. So my spirit lightened. I still didn't want to be pregnant, right? But I felt better. It felt like, not that if it was a boy that I would have like hated my life, but it's like I would have known what I was in for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, this is the life. Now we're gonna add one more, and they're all gonna be 2 years apart. And I'm just like, fuck. So, yeah. So, but she'll probably just beat them up just as much as a boy. So, yeah.
Yes, I do.
So yeah, so I felt a lot better. We went to the 20-week anatomy scan. They did another heart scan as well. Her heart was fine. Solidified that it was a girl with the anatomy scan.
Did you, when they looked at her heart, did you feel peace with that? Did you have any doubt, like, oh, what if they missed something? Or
I didn't feel like they would miss something because they knew what to look for more.
Yeah.
Where with a regular anatomy scan, they're like, here's the heart.
Okay.
But with this, it was like checking the heart, checking the blood flow, checking all the arteries, checking the lungs, checking where everything was going. That's very in-depth and it takes a long time. I had to like up and walk around. I'd like my belly. I was like, I could do a handstand if you want. I was like, I should just shut up. I should not say these things. Yeah.
So when you were doing the scan, did the room feel lighter when you had your third one? Because like the first two times, the ultrasound tech can't tell you anything, but you found something.
Yeah,
Did
I
you
did
notice. Or
I did feel better.
okay,
The ultrasound tech seemed more chipper because I'm like reading the room.
Yeah.
I'm watching their eyes. I'm watching their yeah. Or like they'll like the guy when he found slunk, he moved the screen a little bit and stuff. So it's just you can see. I've done a million ultrasounds now. I can kind of tell when things shift a little bit. And people do that involuntarily, and that just happens. I'm like, I am a police officer. Yes, in another life. Yeah. But it did feel better. There wasn't such an impending sense of doom because Carmine was fine and because we did so much genetic testing. The University of Minnesota, they're like, do you want to be in this test group? Can Sloan be part of this X, Y, and Z where we try to see if this is something genetic or something else so that we have research on X, Y, and Z? We put him in every trial we could that was like non-invasive. Oh, hello. Any non-invasive trial, they would ultrasound his body fat and ultrasound this stuff to like to track these measures and track these children and whatever. But I felt really confident. She's like, I want that. The protein shake. Oh, chapstick. Yeah, dog eats chapstick too. But I did feel really confident going into that because the genetic testing was like, this was a fluke. Okay, like there's nothing between you and Michael that should have created this. This is just that happened. So yeah, I felt good about that. Okay. We still had extra scans because with Atlas, nothing was wrong with her heart, but she was measuring really small. Okay. So like they're like, well, we might have done your due date wrong. Oh. And we're like, oh, okay. So she was measuring almost a month behind. Oh my gosh. Yes. So my OBGYN moved down to part-time because she had breast cancer. And so maybe when I say that these things, people will know who my OBGYN is. So oftentimes my appointments, I was with a midwife or an NP or something, and that was fine. The midwives though, as much natural information as I have, they really had some outdated thoughts about me and making my baby weigh more. Like I had one of the midwives that was like, hey, I need you to gain this much weight by your next appointment, which was in like 2 weeks. She wanted me to gain 10 pounds in 2 weeks. She told me that I needed to start eating ice cream every night before bed. I'm like, no.
To make your baby bigger.
Yes. And so this is where things are a little bit weird for me, like being in that health and wellness space for such a long time. Personally knowing nutritionists and nutrition coaches and reaching out to people and being like, hey, this is what so-and-so told me. Like I started doing in-body scans when I was pregnant. So I would get one. I mean, I did them regularly, so I kind of knew what I was in the beginning. And then I would get them like halfway through. And then I went on the day I gave birth for both my kids and got in-body scans just to show them like, hey, because I don't really gain weight. Yeah. I gained like 10 pounds during my pregnancy, but I lose a ton of muscle. And so I'm like trying to explain that to the midwife, which she did not care about at all. But for my own mind, first off, I'm lactose intolerant. So like if I eat ice cream, I'm not going to gain weight because it's just going to come right out of me. Okay. But trying for my own mental health, being like, I don't need to gain weight. I'm on a healthy path. I am measuring properly. I am not like faint or passing out or anything like that. I'm eating appropriately. But yeah, so Atlas was measuring behind. And after I had Carmine, I found out that I have Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid condition. Yeah. So essentially, through that protocol, I decided to use a natural thyroid medication, which is called Armour Thyroid, which is made in pig, instead of using a synthetic one. Yeah. Essentially, what they think was going on with Atlas is because my thyroid medication was a natural one, that doesn't transfer into the placenta. So she was not getting any of the T3 and T4 from my medication, and my body wasn't creating it. So I had to go on a synthetic thyroid medication so that she would be getting those. Okay. Which brought on a whole nother amount of concern because if your baby's not getting that, that can lead to neurological issues, smaller size, poor health after born, things like that. Working on getting, and they don't want to worry you. Yeah. And now they see my track record. I've already had worrisome things. Yeah. So I started working with maternal fetal medicine with that and just making sure I was eating enough. And therefore, rather than a heart defect, I had to go in for ultrasounds every week then to make sure that she was growing properly. They were putting her, they never changed my due date. Her head was really small for her body. So then I'm like, she's gonna have a big butt. Like there was like so many things Or she would move all the time. So then my other thing was like, well, she's not getting T3, T4. She probably has a neurological disorder and she's just, she can't control her body. And Michael's just like, and so what? And then she's born and then we take care of her. And that's just something that we live with.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can't worry.
Yeah.
Because what's that going to do? That's going to make you worse. And you are her safe home right now. You need to be mentally and physically the best of your ability. And I'm like, fine. So, shut up with your comments. Yes, yeah, dumb. So just trying to move past that, working with maternal fetal medicine, praying a lot, asking for prayers from Momco and just people and my in-laws church group and everything like that. And just putting that out into the world because I do feel like with Sloan, we put out his issues to the world and you can believe whatever you want, but like you send me prayers, I'll take them. You send me good wishes, I'll take them. You send me kind thoughts, I'll take 'em. I'll take whatever you believe in that is going to make whatever I'm in better. I will take that. Yeah. And same thing for Atlas, sending that out into the world. If you're thinking of me, shoot a little, pour one out for a homie, whatever. I will take whatever I can. And it continued on and they're like, she just might be really small. She's just might be a really small baby. And she was little. She was pretty little, but they thought she was like 4 pounds. And when you do that, your ultrasound can be off by a pound.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So like she could have been 8 pounds or 4 pounds, and they don't know. So yeah, another scheduled C-section for her in Virginia. And this time the nuns approved. Thankfully. And I got that right away.
Another scheduled C-section in Duluth.
Yes.
Not Virginia.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Also, Carmen was born in Duluth as well. And so, yes. So I right away made sure my OBGYN, I was like, I want my tubes tied. Yeah. And she's like, I'm going to put that in right away. And they got back to me right away. I found out like 15 weeks that they approved. I got a letter in the mail. This is what your surgery will entail. I wrote it on the calendar. I'm like, woo!
It's so nice, but also like, are you?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you for letting me make the decision.
Yes, yeah. And life would be sad without Atlas, right? I'm thankful that we have her, but I was really mad about not being able to make my own decisions because there's enough things we can't make decisions about. I would like to make them about my own body, right? So scheduled C-section again. She was born on May 15th. So we went in the afternoon and had her, and it was great. And I'm 99% positive we had the same nurse again to do all the stuff for my room and everything. Yeah, she's great. I got to I know personally my OB/GYN now. Michael was just yucking it up with everybody. It was just a really great experience once again because it was my last child and because they knew that it would be my last and that Michael was a medic. They let him watch. And he was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like the first thing they do, so what I asked for is I wanted them to take out all my scar tissue. And so that was the first thing that they did because that's, right in the front. So like they're like, my scar tissue. And Michael's like watching and then he looks at me like, I'm like, okay. Like, just like down bad. I'm like, okay, crazy. Thing. And then he's like, they take all your stuff out of your body. He's like, you're just chatting away up there. You got no idea. I was like, not a clue, dude, not a clue. And yeah, Atlas, everything was fine. They were like talking about wrestling and jujitsu. And I was like, this is my day. Like, why did someone ask me a question? But yeah, I loved my anesthesiologist was great and room was super great and I had great nurses and it was a wonderful experience. And I got to hold Atlas right away. It just took a little bit longer to sew me up because they did my tubal. So so they deliver the baby and then they do that. And then they had to stitch me up a little bit more because they took out my scar tissue. So it was a little bit longer on the inside. And I was just like, should be fine. This is my fourth one. I recover super easy, whatever, whatever. No, it was not great. Yeah, and they're like, well, this wasn't just a C-section. This was also major surgery, and I just could not fathom that. But everything with Atlas went really well. It was a wonderful experience. It was great. It was wonderful, and it was like surreal knowing it was going to be my last.
Yeah.
And that doesn't kick in for a while because now I see babies. I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, that never happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, did I make a mistake? And I was like, I'm almost 40. My time is almost up anyways. And she has been an angel. Atlas is phenomenal. She's so easy. She is so happy 24/7, always smiling, loves dancing, loves music, loves her brothers. Our family is complete.
Yeah.
And so that has been fantastic.
I love that.
Yeah.
And Hadley's such a great big sister.
She is. She's also an enforcer. So, yeah, she's so helpful and so wonderful, and she loves babies, and she's so happy that she finally has a little sister. I don't have a sister.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that bond is. And it is a little bit odd because they're 14 years apart. I'm nervous for when she gets a little bit older and does stuff with her and people are gonna think she's a teen mom or something. So that is one thing I think about with her. And she's like, I don't care. And I was like, okay, as long as they don't care that people might scowl at you, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's so great and she's always loved kids. Through having more kids and having siblings and stuff, when Hadley was little, she was the only child. She wanted a huge family. She's like, I want 4 kids. I want to adopt kids. I love kids, me and my husband, whatever, whatever. And now she's like, I don't want any kids. I want 0 kids. But I was like, I understand where you're coming from. I think you'll change your mind. These are your siblings. They're not your children. So but yeah. But I was like, but I get it. Some days I'm like, I don't want kids either, but here we are.
Little too late for that.
And it's a little too late for that.
Anything else you want to share?
I think oftentimes people ask me, like, because I have my kids so far apart, would I recommend, or what are the differences, or whatever, whatever. And or like, would you have more kids? People often ask me that. And some things that I've seen or some things that I feel and think is you will never regret having another child, but you might regret not having another one. So if like you're on the fence, another baby is just going to bring more love into the world. And that's just always, but if that's what you want, if you are mentally capable, financially capable, have a good partner, have a good support system, then you can do whatever you want. I think having kids is a blessing and a journey, and you can think that you don't want kids until you have them. And then you're like, what was I thinking? What was my life about this? You know? So, because when Michael and I met, he didn't want any kids. And his parents, they even still joke at him now, like, oh, you didn't want any kids. Now you got 4 kids. And he's like, yeah, I don't know what my life would be like without them. He's like, an insurmountable amount of joy.
Yeah.
And discomfort and pain and headaches and whatever else. The joy outweighs all of that.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so what do you want your children to know about your journey to becoming their mom?
Yeah. What a terrible and hard question. But I've been thinking about it a lot, and I just think I wouldn't take it back.
Yeah.
Nothing would change. And if I would have known then what I know now, I probably would have had them sooner. So. Damn it, Emily. I've been avoiding this podcast for months because I was like, I'm not going to do it because I'll just cry the whole time. And that is not worthy of a podcast.
Yes, it is.
Nah.
You are, and your stories are, and I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for allowing me to share.
Yeah.
I hope my kids watch this and don't think I'm cringe.
They will. But one day they'll watch.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, yeah, I love my mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Come and be like, the most beautiful mom I ever had. That's right. That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Emily.